So before we get into that, last week we started off by sort of talking about what the actor who portrays Finnick will need to bring to the table. So I'd love for us to do that with Johanna as well. The one big difference with Johanna is that we don't know a lot about her physically, so I feel like she's a lot more open for interpretation, I guess you could say. The main things that the book mentions about her are her wide-set brown eyes, and it also describes her as having spiky hair, like short spiky hair. And that's on page 214 in the U.S. hardcover edition of Catching Fire. And I guess she does have brown hair, right? I'm sure it says that at some point. But we don't get any other information really about, like, her skin color or anything like that. So, she could pretty much be any ethnicity, I would say. And the only other, I guess this is a physical quality, but we know that she is in her early 20s, and we also know that her strategy was to sort of pretend that she was a weakling, when in reality she was a pretty skilled fighter. So a lot of people have been questioning suggestions like Kristen Bell because she's very small, but to me it makes sense for the actress playing Johanna to be pretty small because that would work to her advantage if she was trying to trick people into thinking that she was weak. So let's talk about some of the fan favorites that are out there, and then we'll talk about our favorites. So the number one fan favorite for Johanna... Oh, and before we get into this, does anyone else have any comments they'd like to share about Johanna and qualities that you think the actress needs to embody? And feel free to jump
She needs to look good naked.
She needs to look good naked. Just imagine I'm making a list.
She has to be able to pull off the weak, helpless girl look.
I agree. I agree with, by the way, both of those things. I think also she has to have a certain vulnerability, but that's not immediately apparent. And at certain times I think it needs to show. I mean, she really is a great character when you think about it. It's something, I like the fact, I saw that, and we'll probably get to her, but Teresa suggested Zoe Kravitz be interesting to have Letty's daughter, Finna's daughter, playing Johanna in a different role. But I think it's neat that she really could be multiracial, and we could open the floor to a lot of different candidates. And honestly, I don't think people would have the right to complain. So that's kind of I think, a benefit of the casting, that they can really take the best person instead of necessarily the one who immediately looks best for the role by popular culture. Any other suggestions out there or things that I think people really think? I know Aldrin is like chomping at the bit to say something, but he's just feeling a little burnt out because he was so celebratory about Alexander Ludwig's birthday. He's afraid to speak up.
Well, I think that I need to be scared of Johanna, or when I was reading the books, I was kind of scared of her.
I think she definitely projects like a certain coldness, which I think is kind of off-putting. So I think that whoever they cast needs to be able to effectively do that without looking, without becoming like a caricature,